Welcome to TalkitOut, the podcast about campus safety where we discuss major events that have happened on the Castleton campus and how they were handled by our public safety, administration, and the student body. My name is Carly.
I'm Julian.
And I'm Madeline. The topic of this episode is on the bigger situations our campus has dealt with, which includes the recent situation that happened in Ellis Hall and the murder of the former dean on the rail trail, which occurred last fall in October during our break. We will be discussing how the school did handle these situations, along with what we believe should have been done to help make students on campus feel more comfortable reporting serious situations to the people who are in charge, along with making students feel safer on campus.
Before we jump in, let's discuss the Campus Safe Act. The Campus Sexual Violence Elimination Act requires all colleges and universities that participate in Title IV financial aid programs to provide state-specific definitions of consent, domestic and dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking, as well as information about how to obtain protective orders. This was put in place in March 2013 as part of the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act. Before this was put in place in 2013, schools and higher education institutions had to only keep track of forcible and non-forcible sex offenses. This act made it required schools to include programs about sexual violence and to be completely transparent about crimes of sexual violence on campus. These educational programs must include a statement that the school prohibits sexual violence, definitions of sexual violence, which is the state where the college or university resides definition of sexual assault, and bystander intervention education and risk reduction programs. Information on the school's reporting system and disciplinary proceedings. Along with the educational programs, schools must include all reports of sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, and stalking in clergy reports. All colleges must have written procedures and methods for reporting and handling any type of sex crime on campus. Accommodations were put in place to provide protective measures for survivors, which includes changes to their academics, living situations, transportation, or working situations. Schools must provide any victims with contact information for counseling, healthcare, mental health, victim advocacy, and legal assistance. These protocols and procedures will be different for all colleges and universities depending on their state's definition on sexual assault and laws surrounding sexual violence or assault cases.
College-age students 18 to 24 are the most at risk for sexual assault. Among undergraduates, 26.4% of females and 6.8% of males experience rape or sexual assault through physical force, violence, or incapacitation. LGBTQ+ students are at an extremely high risk for sexual assault, and the rate of unwanted sexual contact is 23.1%. Most of the time, sexual assault between students is typically referred to as acquaintance rape, due to the perpetrator and the victim tending to know each other. This can cause a survivor to have a delayed perception of what events that had occurred and lessen the likelihood of reporting. The red zone is the specific time of year when sexual assault on college campuses is most likely to happen. This period is usually from move-in day to Thanksgiving. More than 50% of sexual assault cases happen during this time. This is also one of the most heightened times for college freshmen and sophomores to experience sexual assault. Studies show that freshmen and sophomores in college are more likely to be assaulted than any junior or senior students.
An issue throughout all colleges with sexual assault is underreporting, which is for many different reasons. As stated before, it could be because they don't want the perpetrator to receive punishment, they won't be believed, fear, and not trusting they will get the support they need. Women have gotten more vocal about sexual assault, but men are less likely to report mainly because they don't believe anyone will believe their stories. Research states that approximately 90% of sexual assault on campuses go unreported. With so many cases not being reported, campus crime statistics for schools are never truly accurate and don't show for the true extent to this issue. Colleges have begun to better programs and resources for survivors to help them come out and report their experiences while also being supported at the same time. Now let's take a look at the Vermont State University emergency notification policies. On the website it says, if it is confirmed that there is an emergency or dangerous situation that poses an immediate threat to the health or safety of some or all members of the university community, a university-wide or campus-specific warning will be issued. Public safety will collaborate with appropriate officers to determine the content of the message and will use some or all the systems described below to communicate information to the community or the appropriate segment of the community if the threat is limited to a particular building or segment of the population. Considering the safety of the community, the university will promptly determine the content of the notification and initiate the notification system unless issuing a notification will. In the judgment of the emergency management team, compromise the efforts to assist an individual or to contain, respond to, or otherwise mitigate the emergency. There's also a university emergency alert text messaging app. You can sign up for this. So the VTSU alert system is available for students, staff, and faculty. VTSU students and employees have automatically registered for this service annually. However, everyone must sign in and update the contact information.
Sexual assault isn't the only crime that takes place on college campuses, though. Stalking, harassment, and murders, and so much more are very present on a lot of different college campuses throughout the United States. In preparation for this podcast, we created a form to ask students on the Castleton campus about instances where they felt unsafe, made them question their safety on campus, if that experience was reported to public safety, and if public safety has took action or had a response. Within our results, we found that many students on campus were still dealing with unsafe feelings following the Ellis Hall situation and the rail trail murder.
We put up our anonymous forms on flyers across campus, in academic buildings, and in residence halls. We also put our form up on the Castleton Yik Yak. Overall, we received 33 responses regarding information about events that have taken place on campus. 11 recorded responses, including an individual involved, were about the Ellis Hall incident. In a WCIX article published on October 1st, stated, quote, "A VTSU Castleton student faces possible disciplinary action after he was caught allegedly watching a female student shower. Castleton police say they have reported to Ellis Hall around 8:45 p.m. Saturday night. The victim told police she saw sneakers in a nearby stall and the reflection of a man staring at her. Another student confronted the man, later identified as Luke Kane, 19, who claimed he was, quote, testing the water. The student later admitted to authorities that he was struggling with mental health issues regarding sexual drive and attraction. Kane claimed he was only listening, was fully clothed, and did not take any pictures. He also said it was maybe the second or third time he's done this. He is now off campus and in the custody of his parents. School officials in a statement said student well-being and safety is their top priority. Quote, "It is essential that students feel welcome and safe on campus, especially in their home away from home, their residence hall. Our highest priority is the safety and well-being of our students. We are responding to the incident in question in alignment with our safety and disciplinary policies and reserve the right to discipline students charged or convicted of criminal activity. An internal investigation is underway to respond swiftly and appropriately to the incident in question," they said.
This article is how most students and faculty found out about this situation that happened. On Thursday, October 3rd, a few students in Sam Davis Boyd Race, Gender, and Sexuality class decided to email the Dean of Students. This is an example of one of the emails that was sent to Jamia. "Good morning, Jamia. Hello, my name is Carly Centeno, and I'm a student of VTSU Castleton campus. I wanted to email you because of the incident that happened on the Castleton campus this past Saturday. Students are very concerned about the situation that occurred in Ellis Hall. A main concern for students is that the school has yet to address this, and many students found out about this incident through articles posted by news outlets and the app Yik Yak. The lack of communication from the administration is unacceptable, and we deserve a statement about what happened and what the school plans to do to help us feel safer in the dorms. Without this statement from the school, students continue to feel unsafe and misinformation has started to spread. As someone who is paying to live on campus, we expect that issues like this will be addressed in a timely manner. This situation has opened up a conversation between students about all the other incidents we know about that our school has swept under the rug or not handled in the correct way. We deserve the right to feel safe while in our dorms and walking around campus. We hope that the school will give us a statement to help ease the unsafe feelings many of us students have experienced because of the way our administration has handled this incident."
These emails sent by Sam Davis Boyd's class were sent around 10 a.m. on October 3rd. Following that, around 12:45-ish, Jamia sent out an email named Campus Incident Update. This email reads, "Good afternoon, Castleton community. I am reaching out to you this afternoon in regards to the incident that took place over this weekend that resulted in a student's arrest. While I am legally prohibited from sharing any details about the incident due to privacy laws, I can share that an internal investigation is underway to respond swiftly and appropriately to the incident in question. The safety and well-being of our students is our highest priority. I can assure you that the administration is responding to the incident in question in alignment with our safety and disciplinary policies and reserve the right to discipline students charged or convicted of criminal activity. In light of the incident, I'd like to remind our community about our safety resources available. She lists that public safety can be reached at the number 802-468-1215. These calls can be answered 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And she also talks about the VTSU Safe app, a companion service to Rave Alert app, has been launched to enhance the safety of our entire community. The VTSU Safe app delivers important safety alerts directly to your device and provides instant access to a variety of campus safety resources.
Let it be known that the Campus Safe app that they are advertising in this email has only ever been advertised at the bottom of emails and not important emails that students would actually look at. Most of it was in like newsletter emails and stuff like that, and it wasn't promoted whatsoever. There were flyers around campus, but as we have seen from when we posted flyers up, most people don't look at the flyers. And they're claiming that people should be using this app when it is completely useless. It doesn't help at all. It basically just helps you track your friends if you want to track your friends, which most students already do that on Find My iPhone, Life 360, Snap Maps, along with having the resources like public safety's phone number, 911, stuff like that. But it was never advertised like it should be. During this situation, some students decided to make a petition to expel the intrusive student and enhance privacy measures at Vermont State University on change.org. It was promoted on our student newspaper, The Spartan, and it was also promoted all over our student Yik Yak. Here is what the issue is, written by one of the victims. I'm a student at Vermont State University who has experienced a traumatic violation of my personal privacy. A fellow student snuck into the women's bathroom at Ellis. This not only occurred to me, but many other females of this building in the showers as well. He would continuously hide in the shower stalls. This happened for days. This breach not only deeply affects me, but also raises serious concerns for the safety and privacy of all students. The university relocated the perpetrator for his safety, yet seems to treat the privacy and safety of the victim as secondary. This failing needs addressing urgently. In considering these implications, the response by Vermont State University is disgusting. The offending student should have been expelled for affecting our safety and well-being. Furthermore, the incident brings to light a glaring lack in privacy security measures. All bathrooms should be fitted with locks that only allow entry to authorized individuals, minimizing the likelihood of such incidents in the future. We urge Vermont State University to take immediate action by expelling the offender and also investing in safety measures for the privacy of students. As the petition stated, the offending student was not expelled, and he left on his own choosing because of the fear for his safety. The school did not make it a priority to move any of the victims out of Ellis. He was only moved out because people were leaving notes on his door and because he was fearing for his safety. The only reason he is not on campus today was because of his own choice. As stated before, we actually got a response on our form from one of the victims of the Ellis situation. And it states, I had a man sneak into the Ellis bathroom and watch me shower. I caught him, called PubSafe. The school barely made any contact with me. The police did everything. I was told he left campus months after he actually did, and only after I pressed the issue. Months of worrying that I would run into him, see him, and be reminded of how my privacy was violated. I was never offered support, nor was I offered a chance to move out of the building where I am now. Every day, have to shower in the very stall where my privacy was violated. The guy left because he felt threatened. The school did not remove him. After this situation happened, and after the email was sent out by Jamia, there was nothing. No updates, no anything about this situation. Most of us knew he had to go to court. There was a lot of claims that he did this because of mental health reasons and struggling with his sexual drive. But ever since that email got sent out, it was only the student body that cared to talk about it. The school never gave us an update. We have no idea if he's allowed to come back in the spring. And the school just didn't handle it the way they should have.
In our form, we found 7 responses about the rail trail incident from last October. At 8:30 the following morning from the rail trail incident, an email to the Vermont State University community from the Vermont State University president was sent out, reading, "Dear Vermont State University community, I hope this message finds you in good health and safety. Last night, a shelter-in-place order was implemented on the Castleton campus due to a suspicious death on the D&H rail trail near the Castleton campus. As of today, Friday, October 6th, all facilities on the Castleton campus will remain closed. We urge anyone on the Castleton campus to adhere the continued shelter-in-place order, and all events scheduled on that campus for today have been canceled. We ask all employees and students not to travel to the Castleton campus for any reason. Staff members can work remotely, and inquiries should also be directed to your supervisor. VTSU Rutland, including Spartan Arena, Foley Hall, and Killington locations, will operate with regular hours. In light of the recent incident near Castleton, we want to provide an update on the situation and offer support resources for our community members. The Vermont State Police are actively investigating the incident, and currently the suspect is not in custody. There will be an increased police presence in the area, and our emergency management team is closely monitoring the situation. We will continue to provide updates as needed. This situation is deeply unsettling, and your well-being is our top priority. If you are feeling distressed, please know that support services are available, including counseling services, immediate assistance, 24/7 crisis phone line, and crisis text line. We care deeply about your well-being and encourage you to lean on one another for support during this difficult time. Our thoughts are with those affected by this incident. We will continue to provide updates as the situation evolves. Thank you for your cooperation and support."
After you read that, it kind of brought me back to like where I was in the situation, like when it was all happening. I remember like pretty vividly. I was going home from before break. I think I had football practice that day, so I was leaving later on in break, and I was on my way home, and I got a random phone call from a Vermont phone number. I had no clue who it was, and I answered it, and it was saying something about a suspicious murder on campus, and it really had me like really worried, because I didn't know who it was. Like it could have been somebody I knew, could have been. Like, I had no clue what was going on because I remember it was during break, so it was mainly only like athletes on campus. So I don't know if you guys remember anything about it, but I remember like I was just like kind of nervous about like my friends, a little worried about them. So I was like texting all my boys, kind of making sure everybody was all right. And I remember we received a text message very similar to what the phone call said, just kind of like saying that there was a suspicious murder, and the lockdown happened. But this was like very, I guess, frightening for me and all my friends, considering we had just been on campus maybe hours prior, possibly even minutes prior to the incident happening. I know I didn't hear anything when I was on campus, but I mean maybe somebody else did, but I just remember I was just like freaking out because just hearing everything, it was just very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I know on Yik Yak someone posted, like, I heard someone screaming the other night. I really hope, like, that wasn't, the murder, especially since, like, the police said this had to be, like, in connection, someone who knew her because of the way she was killed. It was so brutal and gruesome. Like, they said it was execution style.
That's insane.
And it was wild. I know I was home, and then got, like, the text message, the phone call, the email, all at the same time, and I immediately started looking for, like, a news article, seeing if they, like, had anything about it, but the news, I don't think the articles came out until the next day, but, like, moving back onto campus after break while we were still, like, I think they just lifted the lockdown, or they only lifted it for, like, people coming back onto campus, and I remember, like, getting chased around by, like, a news crew who was trying to ask me, like, my opinions and stuff, and, like, I saw them chasing around a bunch of other students who, like, were on campus during this, and, like, public safety being like, go away, stop harassing these kids, like, this is a horrifying thing. I also do remember, like, them saying that there was going to be police on campus for an entire week, and they actually were only on campus the one Monday where they said that we could like cancel class, teachers could cancel classes and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people weeks after, especially when the sketch came out and people knowing that like students were getting pulled out and interviewed by cops because they were here during break because of sports or because they didn't want to go home. And it was a very nerve-wracking time for all of us, especially because no one knew like what was going on, and like the investigation only lasted a month until like they decided it was a cold case.
I know I was on campus that night. I was in my dorm, and one of my other suite mates was home because she's also an athlete, and I remember I had just come back from getting dinner from the deli, so I'd basically been out and about walking around campus, and as I was pulling back onto campus to find a parking spot, that's when I saw the text and the email and the phone call and everything, and I just remember booking it back to my room because I was like, okay, there's literally somebody on the loose on campus. Like, what is going on? Because this isn't a situation that you hear about in towns like Castleton. Like, you don't hear anything about just like a random death on, a very, very busy walking trail, right next to a small school. That's just not something you hear about ever. And yeah, and I remember the people I did know who were on campus who didn't have games that weekend or, for whatever reason they were there, they left. A lot of people I knew left campus the following morning because they were just unsure about, the safety and what that meant for, everybody else who was still on campus and, stuff like that.
And like during this time we were having like, I know Ellis Hall was having troubles like locking the front door, like anyone could open the door and like you could just walk in. Same with Morrill Hall, like that is a big issue that like our doors keep breaking, so you don't need an ID to get into the building. And I know a lot of people, rumors came out that it was a serial killer because after the rail trail killing, like there was like 8 other murders same exact way through Vermont, and a lot of people were like starting to get concerned. And as of right now, the case is still unsolved and there were barely any leads. I know there was rumors that her own son did it, but nothing was ever confirmed. And the thing that impacted Castleton campus the most was because this was our former academic dean, Honoree Fleming, and people were really devastated because she had like recently stopped working at the school, and a lot of people thought it was like very like a student who targeted her or something like that.
I think you bring up a good point talking about like rumors, because that was, in between the emails and the text messages we were getting, that was the only information that anyone had was like what were other people saying on campus, and you never knew if that was true or if it was fake. So every time someone would text you that night or that next morning and you were like, well, this is what I heard, not knowing if any of it was true or if it was just like all a lie, or and I think that's not that that's an issue that people were talking about, what was going on, but it was just the fact of like what is true about this and like what information is false.
Yeah, and I know our Spartan newspaper also covered, like, got to talk to the police about this and everything, but it didn't clear up much because they can't say much about an open investigation. And even a year after, like, some students are still very concerned that this killer was never caught, because I know many students use the rail trail to run, walk on. It's like one of the most popular hiking paths around us. I know cross country runs on there all the time. Like, it's baffling. And like the school did stay very involved in keeping us updated on everything that was going on until like a month after it was all kind of said and done, and like there was nothing no one could do. So the only thing that ever happened out of it was just like memorials and dedications for our past former dean.
Yeah, and that actually just brings up another good point. Speaking about the rail trail, I was just talking to one of the walkers who typically walk around the Castleton community, not specifically like only the campus, but they're from Fairhaven, and they were telling me that they used to walk in the rail trail pretty much like every single day, if not every few days, and it was a very common occurrence for them to walk around campus throughout the walkways and like throughout all the trails on campus. But since the whole murder incident, they have kind of strayed away from the rail trail. There's a lot of safety concerns within the trail because obviously, like in the woods, there's not like cameras anywhere. So they had a lot of safety concerns about like walking on the trail. So I'm sure they weren't the only people that have kind of refrained from there. I know a lot of people like walk their dogs all the time down there. I know people still do walk the trails quite often, but I'm sure it's nowhere close to as used as it used to be in the past.
And I know like residents in Hoff Hall who were there, like had to witness like the police and everything like on the trails and like the body bag coming out and stuff like that, and it really like freaked students out. Like it still freaks students out. We got an email sometime earlier this semester about like a suspicious person on the rail trail, which even public safety has stated like they didn't like the person who made this report didn't think it was an actual like safety concern, but they still sent us out an email, which like kind of like brings up like why would they send us out an email about like this suspicious person but not
That's a
about
good thing though.
the Ellis like situation though.
Yeah.
Like no one said any, like we didn't get any communication about the Ellis situation, and like the student was arrested.
I think that brings up an interesting point of how did public safety and Castleton police and the two of them in tandem, how did they react to the rail trail and how did they communicate that with us versus the Ellis Hall incident? I think that if you were to ask public safety, and obviously the rail trail incident was
More severe.
different caliber of severeness than the Ellis incident, but then why is the bar not the same for all incidents similar that impact student safety on campus? Why are there different like rules and regulations? Why can't we be communicated through any important or impactful and harmful situation that takes place on campus?
Yeah, I feel like there should be like a base, like, I guess like a standard for how they should respond to these kind of incidents. Because we've seen that they've clearly taken these two instances and handled them two completely different ways. The rail trail, they were immediately on it, and then the whole Ellis incident, they took forever to even communicate with anybody. And it kind of raises questions about maybe how useful public safety is, and maybe like the rules and the regulations that they may have within pub safety that kind of revolves around communicating within the students about these instances. But a lot of students just kind of they find out a lot of information through Yik Yak and not really through the school, and there's a lot of things that are kind of brushed underneath the rug, which is very concerning for students all across campuses.
Yeah, and like a lot of like Ellis residents like found out about this situation like from the news article or from their friends talking about it. Like people who lived in the building had no idea that like someone was doing this. And it seems like from what that girl said on the forum, it seems like it was reported way before, and someone else must have gone in and made another report, and that's when like something actually happened.
Yeah, it's like, why was this not taken care of in the first place rather than on the third or second time that it had happened? As the WCAX article had stated that he said it was the third or second time. So if it was reported previously, why was that not communicated to students?
Thank you for listening to our first episode of Talk It Out. On our next episode, we will discuss individual experiences from our forum and how they could have been handled.
We will also discuss our own personal experiences on campus, how campus views public safety and their policies, and an interview with an RA on campus. See you guys next episode.